can. In 1999, they did that, but even the scientists were amazed at how much data they pulled up from that ice core. When they drilled to the bottom, they pulled up over 420,000 layers of ice. Each layer is 1 year of the history of the Earth. All of a sudden, scientists had 420,000 years of our past to compare to right now to see if Earth is broken, to see if we're living a time that's anomalous. Now, I want to share with you a little bit about what we found here. Some of you have never seen this. This is what the ice library looks like. These are libraries of ice cores. Here is an actual ice core right here, and you can see the layers. You see all the layers, the striations in there? Each one of those is a year of Earth's history. Okay, I'm going to go through this really quickly because we've got so much to cover today, but I just want to give you, I want to give you the essence. The essence, got to go with it. The essence of what was found. Now, this is one of the ice cores. I always thought if this whole author thing doesn't work out for me, I could go back as a geologist and work with the ice cores because every time I see them, they're always smiling, see? So this must be a lot of fun to do this job. But from these ice cores, we can tell about ancient temperature, ancient sea levels, the strength of the sun, which is going to be very important in just a minute, and the strength of Earth's magnetic field. So, climate change. I'm just going to ask you a question here. How many in here are you in agreement that the climate is changing? Okay? And it is, okay? How many think that the climate is warming? Okay? How many think the climate's cooling? Well, the answer is yes. And this is why I think it's really important to look at the data in perspective. Now, a few years ago, there was a very popular film that brought the idea of climate change right into our living rooms, and I think that is the great service that this film did. It was a film on global warming. It's called An Inconvenient Truth. And I saw that, and I thought, at last, we're getting it into our living room. The idea is good, but let me share with you the data and some of the mistakes that were made with the data. This is a chart right here that was shown in a lot of that film. 1880 to the year 2000. Okay? From 1880 to the year 2000, this is the annual mean of temperatures. If you look at that, it looks like there's a big problem, doesn't it? The temperatures are going up. Actually, they're going up and they're going down. Here it's warming during that part, and here it's cooling during that part. What the chart doesn't show is right before 1880, the world was coming out of a cooling cycle. It was called, in Europe, it was part of what was called the Great Potato Famine. A lot of people died because the weather changed. They couldn't grow the food the way they used to. The reason the data starts in 1880 is because that was the first year that consistent records were kept by the National Weather Service in the United States, for North America and other parts of the world. So it begins in 1880. Both things are happening here. Now, the next chart that I show you, those 420,000 years of the history of the Earth. Here is the present time. Here's 420,000 years. It stops right there. The chart goes to 450, but the data stops at 420. And all I want you to see from this, here is one of the ice cores in blue. Here's another one of the ice cores in green. You can see they agree with one another. And can you see cycles happening here? Do you see obvious cycles? Yes or no? Group participation, yes or no? Okay. And what you're seeing on the bottom in the red, this is the thickness of the ice as it changes in relation to temperature. So here, when the temperature rises, right after the temperature rises, the ice thickness drops because it melts. Makes perfect sense. And as the temperatures drop, then the ice begins to get thicker again. So all I want you to see, number one, is that there's a rhythm, there's a cycle. It is roughly every 100,000 years, approximately. Every 100,000 years is when you see this. Okay, we are right here, and I would expect to see us going into a period of warming because of where we are in the cycle right here. I would be concerned if we weren't in a warming right now because it would mean something was different. And I would wonder what it is that changed. Okay, so you can see the cycles. That's all I want you to see here. Right? Yes? Okay, now let's look at something else. Here are temperatures on the bottom. These are some of the gases, greenhouse gases that we've been told to be concerned about. And here you see carbon dioxide. Here you see some methane. So I'm just going to ask you this question. Does it look like there's a correlation between the rise of temperatures and gases? Do you see? Right there and there and there. There's a correlation, and I agree there's a correlation. Now, before I go any further with this, I have to say something to be really clear. We definitely need to clean up our act here on planet Earth. We definitely need to find clean, green, sustainable ways of providing the fuel and the power for the grid and the way we live our lives on this planet. We need to do that. Now, I'm going to show you something in the data that may upset some people, but I want to share with you why it's important, and it's going to lead right into the rest of the program. Because we have been told that we created the warming, that we caused it. That is a direct quote. We caused global warming. We must fix global warming. First of all, from this, you can see we didn't cause global warming because it's happened in the past. Would you agree with that? All right. And because there has been carbon dioxide ebb and flow in the past, we didn't create the carbon dioxide, not all of it. Would you agree with that? Have we contributed to it? Yes, we have contributed. We didn't create it. But I'm going to show you something else, and this isn't getting much attention in mainstream media. It's in all these charts are in the new book. If you're taking notes, just stop taking notes and go get the book, okay? No, the charts are all in the book, just so you know. All right. The rise and fall of the gases and the temperatures are definitely linked. Now, here's present day. Here's 100, 200, 300, 400,000 years ago. I want to share something with you here, and this changes the whole conversation. And it's a delicate situation. It's a delicate conversation that can be misused. So I'm going to be very clear about why I'm sharing this, but let's take a look at this first. So if you're going to take a break, don't take it now because I want you to hear the whole thing. Okay? If you look at this closely, I'm going to call your attention to this area right in here. The red is the temperature. The blue is the carbon dioxide gas. Okay? If you're coming from, and here's present day. So if you're coming toward present day, okay, what you're seeing here, what rises first, the temperature or the carbon dioxide? Exactly. And this is the danger of stepping back and just looking at the big picture without looking at the details. What you're seeing here is that the temperature rises first and then the greenhouse gas rises. The temperature rises first and then the greenhouse gas rises. And it's most pronounced here, but it is happening here and it's happening here as well. Okay, you can see that. The temperature rises before the greenhouse gases. Now, very prestigious journals have published this, and it hasn't made it into the mainstream thinking. This is the journal Nature, very prestigious journal Nature, volume 329, 4414, 4418. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what it says, changes in CO2 content in the atmosphere never precede changes in the air temperature. Carbon dioxide never rises first to cause that when we're going from glacial to interglacial. That's where we're coming out. The glacial system ended about 12,000 years ago, okay? When we're going from interglacial to glacial, and this is where it's believed we are today, we're in an interglacial period. We're moving toward a cooling. The change in the carbon dioxide lags the change in the air temperature. What does that mean? It means the air temperature rises first, and then the gases rise later. And there's a lag time usually of about 400 to 800 years. 400 to 800 years is the lag time between temperature and the gases. Now, this is completely opposite of what many of us have been led to believe. Why am I sharing this with you? Here's the reason why. It all goes to the theme of what we're going to talk about today, cooperation. Cooperation. Remember last year, Copenhagen 2010? You remember that, the climate summit? Did you know that it happened? Okay, last year, 2010, there was a climate summit that was held in Copenhagen. there was a lot of hope that the leaders of the world, they were physically there, that they would get together and really make an inroad into the possibilities of climate change. Now, I'm going to share with you what could have happened and then what did happen. Here's what could have happened. It's a beautiful scenario. What could have happened is the leaders of the world could have come together and said, look, we don't know why the climate is changing, but it is. And the people of our nations are losing their lives. We're losing cities on the coastlines. As superstorms wipe them away, people are losing their ability to create food and living the way they have in the past. Let's work together to help our people adapt to the climate change, and let's show the world that we are greater than the differences that have divided us in the past. What a powerful opportunity for cooperation, wouldn't you agree? That's what could have happened. What did happen was based on false assumptions of this kind of data. This chart didn't come up. Based on false assumptions of other kinds of data that lead the people to believe that climate change is human-induced. Some nations began to point fingers at other nations, saying humans caused it, and you caused more than you, and you caused more than you, and because you caused more than you need to pay a lot of money to make things better. And it caused such hard feelings that it was difficult to have that cooperation. Can you see where the hard feelings would make it difficult to have that kind of cooperation? This is one of the dangers of false assumptions of science. And that's why we're going to go into these deep truths and the false assumptions. It's dangerous thinking skews our willingness to work together, and we need to work together now more than ever. Did I say that okay? Does that make sense? All right. I just want to share with you some of the scientists that don't get a lot of visibility. Some scientists don't get to share their viewpoint. This is from Sally Balinas, astronomer, Harvard-Smithsonian Center. She said, quote, "The recent warming trend in the surface temperature record cannot be caused by the increase of human-made greenhouse gases in the air." She just flat out says it's not. Here's University of Rochester, David Douglas, professor, Department of Physics. He says the warming doesn't show the characteristics that we would expect with global warming. Okay, so this is what he is saying. So the bottom line is, right now, the data doesn't support that humans cause global warming. Humans probably contributed to global warming. We definitely need to clean up our act, but we also need to cooperate as we come to terms with the global warming. We've been led to believe that we can stop it. How do you stop a natural cycle? You tell me. Do you think you can stop it? Okay. What causes it? It's Earth's position in space, the tilt, the angle, the wobble, the orbit. The only way to stop global warming is if you stop the tilt, the angle, the wobble, and the orbit. And that's one thing I know you don't want the governments messing with. Absolutely. Please leave the tilt, angle, and wobble of Earth alone. I believe, and this is my personal feeling, this is a natural rhythmic cycle that is rare and we haven't seen it in our lifetimes. We are better served working together to adapt than pointing fingers and blame trying to stop it. So that is why I wanted to share this with you. Now, thank you.